After the failed Jimbo Fisher experiment, it is now a new era in College Station as Texas A&M brings in Mike Elko as their new head coach. That was one of the best hires of this last offseason, and Elko inherits a very dangerous squad, and Texas A&M could surprise in 2024. So welcome back to the Gridiron Expert, guys. We're so glad you could join us today to break down the Texas A&M Aggies, our final SEC team in this conference's predictions. As always, please continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and of course, check out everything down in the description below. That includes our website, thegridironexpert.com, home of our expert picks. Some of the best college football and NFL spread picks in the entire country for one of the lowest prices in the entire country. We're beating out over 80% of the national handicappers each of the last 6 years. We're going to make it 7 by the end of this year. So if you want to win big with us, if you want some of the best customer service and best insight in the country, this is the place for you. So go sign up for those picks and everything else over on our website and everything else down in the description to become a member of our GE Nation. So Texas A&M, man, to me, it's one of the few teams in the country that is consistently overhyped and always falls short of expectation. That was the case under Jimbo Fisher. Miami is another team that kind of comes to mind when it comes to high expectations and falling short. But A&M maybe takes the cake under the Jimbo Fisher era. Every year I was hearing, they're playoff contenders, they're SEC title contenders, and they always fell short. And finally, A&M had enough. They had enough of the Jimbo Fisher failures. They went 7-6 last year. He got fired, got let go, and now Mike Elko, the former defensive coordinator at A&M from 2018 to 2021, is the new head man in College Station. And I like this team a lot. So many things I like about the Aggies this year. We'll start on offense. Connor Wigman is back at quarterback. He was out for the year last season after the 4th game of the year, but he was having a pretty good season prior to that. 979 yards, 8 touchdowns, just 2 interceptions. He was on pace to have a great season if he had stayed fully healthy, and that's the key for A&M is quarterback health. The last few years, they have dealt with multiple injuries at the quarterback position. I wouldn't say it's completely derailed their season, but it definitely has put a big blow on their season. So Wigman's health is going to be paramount for the Aggies this year if they want to have a successful winning season. They do return all of their top rushers from last year. Amari Daniels, Le'Veon Moss, Ruben Owens. The wide receiver core, pretty dang solid. Ja'Day Walker returns at wide receiver along with Moose Muhammad, Donovan Green at tight end. They bring in Troy's number 1 wide receiver from last year in the transfer portal. And the offensive line has 112 combined starts. The Aggies offensively, I think, will be very, very solid and better than people think. But again, health is the biggest thing. Defensively, this might be the strength of the team. I like this A&M defense a lot. 9 starters are back. They only gave up 22.1 points per game last year and only 316 yards per game. The defensive line in particular is extremely strong for the Aggies. They got Shamar Stewart and Shamar Turner, who had 6 sacks last year, up front on that defensive line. The linebacking core is led by Tarian York, who was the number 2 tackler on the team last year. Solomon DeShields transfers in from Pittsburgh. Scooby Williams transfers in from Florida. So they've got a lot of talent and depth in the linebacking core. And the secondary, arguably the section that needs the most work, brings in Will Lee from Kansas State and a handful of other transfers while also retaining Bryce Anderson. They only gave up 207 passing yards per game last year. I know it has a few question marks, but this Aggies defense at all 3 levels has the talent, they have some depth, and they've got a defensive-minded coach, one of the best defensive-minded coaches in the game, leading this squad. So A&M's got everything they need, guys, and the schedule works out pretty well for them too. The crazy thing with A&M is their schedule is tough. I mean, look at the bookends. Opening up the season against Notre Dame, ending the season against Texas, potentially opening and closing with 2 top 10 teams. But all the biggest games for A&M are at home. They host Notre Dame. They host Texas. They host Missouri. They host LSU. They got a lot of favorable matchups in College Station, and we know how powerful the 12th man can be. It's not an easy place to play. So let's just go into it. Let's take a look at what the Aggies could possibly do. That Notre Dame game is big. It's big for so many reasons for both these programs. The first game under Mike Elko, a Notre Dame team that needs to get to the college football playoff this year under Marcus Freeman, has college football playoff expectations. The Fighting Irish are led now by quarterback Riley Leonard, who was the quarterback at Duke last year under the head coach of Mike Elko. So Elko versus Leonard, that relationship there could pose a problem for Notre Dame. Elko knows Leonard. He knows how he plays. He knows his tendencies. Could bode well for A&M in this game. It's really a battle between Notre Dame's very strong defense and what the capabilities, the possibility of A&M's offense is. Is A&M's offense going to be as good as we think it's going to be? If so, can they exploit one of the best defenses in the country in Notre Dame? Can the Fighting Irish come in to College Station and pull off what is a minor upset? A&M slightly favored as of right now entering this game. All that being said, yeah, I do think A&M wins this game. It is shaping up to be one of the best games of week 1, but I like the Aggies in this game. I think their offense comes out firing on all cylinders. I think they catch Notre Dame by surprise. I think it's a relatively low-scoring game. But as the Fighting Irish are going into this season with some questions on offense, yeah, they've got talent, talented wide receivers, talented quarterback in Riley Leonard, but definitely a new offensive coordinator, new players, new schemes. Can they come into this hostile of an environment right out the gate and win? I don't think so. A&M delivers. Mike Elko heralded as a hero in his first game. He's the man for the job after one game. Maybe a bit of an overreaction, but a massive start to his tenure in College Station. They beat Notre Dame. They beat McNeese. But they lose to Florida in Gainesville. Florida, despite all the negative press they're getting, doesn't have a bad team. They just have a bad schedule. The Gators play 11 Power 4 opponents this year. No other team's doing that. The Gators have talent. They've got a veteran quarterback in Graham Mertz. They've got Montrell Johnson. They've got a very good wide receiver core. The defense not nearly as bad as people think. So now you've got an A&M team under the new head coach just in week 3 going to a very hostile environment in the Swamp. It just doesn't bode well for me thinking that A&M is going to come in here and pull off this win. Florida might not show it in the overall record, but they've got a better team than what the overall record might show. I truly believe that. But one of their wins this year will come against the Aggies. They're 2-1. But they beat Bowling Green, 3-1. They will cruise past Arkansas. And I say cruise. It might be a one-possession game. It typically is between the Aggies and the Hogs. Last year it wasn't. 34-22 in favor of A&M. But the Aggies are Arkansas's kryptonite. They are 11-1 against Arkansas in SEC play. It's an unbelievable run. Unbelievable run for A&M. And I'm not going to pick Arkansas to win this game until I can actually see them do it. Yeah, I know they did it back in, 2021? But they've lost the last 2. Yes, the Razorbacks are improving. And yes, this game's intriguing because the Razorbacks' new offensive coordinator, Bobby Petrino, was A&M's offensive coordinator last year. So an interesting relationship there. The Hogs will be improved on both sides of the ball, especially offensively, where they struggled mightily last year. I think the Hogs honestly would have won last year had they had a lick of offense. But while the Hogs got better, the Aggies arguably got a little bit better. Wigman didn't play in last year's game. If he's fully healthy, I think he exploits his Arkansas secondary. Aggies get the win. It might be close, but make it 12-1 against the Hogs in SEC play. So they are now 4-1 under Mike Elko, probably a top 15 team at this point, and they host Missouri. Give me the win against the Tigers, man. I like Missouri a lot this year, but I look at the Tigers here and I go, look, this is Missouri's first road game of the year. The entire month of September, Missouri is at home. They're coming off a bye week coming into this game, sure, but this is the first road game of the year, the toughest team they will have faced so far this year. I don't know if the Tigers are going to be ready for it. I think they kind of sleepwalk through their first 4 or 5 games of the year. They come into College Station thinking they're all that, and then A&M pops them in the mouth, and A&M comes away with this win. I love this Missouri offense. I think they got a lot of talent. Defense, a few questions, especially with the new defensive coordinator losing a lot of talent from last year. A&M is able to get the job done. Missouri, going to be a very good team this year. Definitely a college football playoff contender, but they're going to fall short in College Station. That home field advantage going to play a major role this season, especially for the Aggies. So they are now 5-1 heading into their bye week. They're 6-1 after they cruise past Mississippi State, who they beat 51-10 last year. And they're going to be 7-1 when they beat LSU. And maybe I'm jumping the gun a little bit. Maybe it's ridiculous to think they're going to beat Notre Dame and LSU and Missouri, all those big-time home games, right? Maybe so. Maybe you change one of them if you're you. But I look at LSU. I like this team a lot too. Tigers got a lot of talent. But I am concerned about their secondary still a little bit. I think it improves. But they were atrocious last year. If Wigman is healthy, this wide receiver core, this pass-catching core for A&M, can exploit that. A&M also has the 12th man in this game. They're not having to go to Death Valley. LSU, traditionally, in SEC play, has not fared well in College Station. They fare well in Death Valley against A&M, but not so much in College Station. I like A&M a lot in this game. They lost 42-30 last year, sure, put up a lot of points. The Tigers now dealing with a new offensive coordinator, a new defensive coordinator. The loss of Jaden Daniels is still a force to be reckoned with, but I still don't think they're going to have enough to win on the road. So 7-1 for the Aggies. Things are looking really, really good. They are not just thinking, solid bowl berth in a year under Mike Elko. They're thinking maybe college football playoff. It has expanded to 12 teams after all. But I think they start to struggle a little bit down the stretch. Call me crazy. I think they lose to South Carolina. So freak out about that if you want. I know South Carolina has not fared well against the Aggies in SEC play, although they did beat A&M the last time they faced off in Columbia. South Carolina is an odd team. They're an odd team, a high-variance team, one that could surprise and go with a winning season, or one that could suffer another losing season, back-to-back under Shane Beamer. I've got them having another rough season, but it's not because they don't have talent. Lenore Sellers is a dangerous dual-threat quarterback. You look at who A&M faces prior to that. Riley Leonard, kind of dual threat. Arkansas's got Taylon Green, relatively dual threat. Sellers might be the best dual threat quarterback they face up until this point, and they're facing him now on his home turf. Can the A&M defense corral him? Can they corral Rocket Sanders, one of the best running backs in the SEC, if he can stay healthy? South Carolina, is prone to pulling off upsets under Shane Beamer. We've seen that time and time again. And this is where they're going to pull off one of them now in Columbia. I do like this offense. I like it if they can stay healthy offensively, especially on the offensive line. The Gamecocks get the job done. Spoil A&M's strong start. 7-2, and that's a bad loss. And again, you want to give them the win over South Carolina, but mark up a loss to LSU or Notre Dame, whatever, go for it. But they're not going to be an undefeated or one-loss team heading to their bye week. They're slipping up, and I think South Carolina on the road, after really a pretty favorable road slate prior to that point, is where they slip up. Out of the bye week, they beat New Mexico State, something Auburn was unable to do, but they do beat New Mexico State. 8 wins on the year for A&M, but I do think they round out the year by losing their last 2 games. So an 8-2 start, you're looking at this, maybe a 10-win season in the cards. It's not going to happen. You got to go to Jordan-Hare Stadium to face an Auburn team that, yes, they beat by 17 points last year, but an Auburn team that will improve. Based on our Auburn video, the fans wouldn't think so, but Auburn's going to improve. They're going to have a winning record this season. They've got some talent. The passing game should improve a little bit. They still got a dangerous running game, still got a stingy defense. Year 2 under Hugh Freeze. We know Jordan-Hare Stadium is not an easy place to play. It's senior day for the Tigers. Auburn will get the job done. And then Texas, man, what a game. This is going to be one heck of an atmosphere. First meeting between these in-state rivals since 2011. A conference meeting now. It's going to be epic. Texas could be fighting for a playoff spot at this point. A&M looking to play spoiler for this point. It's going to be one of my favorite games of the year already. One of my highly anticipated games of the year. But I just don't think the Aggies have enough to pull it off. They're facing now, in their first year under Mike Elko, facing a team that was one play away from the national championship last year, returns tons on the offensive side of the ball, including Quinn Ewers, who owns the quarterback edge in this game, has a very stingy defense, one that you could argue is better than that of Texas A&M. And while this game is in College Station, there's going to be tons of orange in that stadium. Tons of Texas supporters there to try to cancel it out just a little bit. It's going to be a great game. It's going to be a close game, but Texas simply a little bit better, a little bit too good for the Aggies to handle. They finished the year 8-4 in year 1 under Mike Elko. And while that might be viewed as a disappointment for some, I consider it a pretty successful year. Struggling for years and years and years under Jimbo Fisher, never really getting over the hump. They opened up the year with a massive win against Notre Dame. They beat Missouri. They beat LSU. They get some high-quality wins. They finish the year with a winning record. They win 8 games, have a chance to win 9 games if they can win their bowl game, and that's just in year 1. Elko did some phenomenal things at Duke, things people didn't think were possible. If he can do that at Duke, imagine what he can do at Texas A&M. The Aggies are a sleeping giant. Elko is going to get them there. They're going to have a couple of hiccups down the road, but it's going to be a successful season for the Aggies, and next year, that's when they take that next big step, and you better watch out for A&M possibly being a playoff contender in 2025. So guys, as always, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube. Make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and of course, check out everything down in the description below. That includes our website, thegridironexpert.com, home to those exclusive expert picks, some of the best college football and NFL spread picks in the entire country. So go check those out. Sign up for those today. And once again, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.